Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 404. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How's it going? No more Che Guevara slash Fidel Castro beard for me.
Carlos Romero. Oh, he's muted. All right. Adam Vale.
How you doing? FIFA for life. Peace out.
Brett Murdoch.
One of us is related to Che Guevara, and the answer would surprise you.
Oh, boy. And Brian Manjoma.
I can confirm I am not superficially black.
Oh, shit. Are you related to Che Guevara, though?
I don't think so. I may look like Justin, but I'm not related to him.
Oh, man. I'm also happy to report that I got the episode number correct, because I didn't have the show notes open. We have no show notes right now. We're winging it.
Yo, man. Because we doing it live. We're doing it live.
Well, I mean, we always do it live, but yes, we're doing it live, you know.
Live alive.
It's been a very busy week. Then I went drinking with some office people. So, so shout out to the fans and Carlos for providing us with our show topics, even though you already know what the main topic is. He struck again, people.
Ghostbusters.
The Grim Reaper of gaming, Mr. Phil Harrison, has done it again. Google Stadia is officially dead. It's over. Yo, John Christ, where you at, bro? Where you at?
To the surprise of no one.
As soon as I saw that guy was a part of it, I knew this shit was gonna already hit the fan.
And this is what I love about being on Throwdown. This shit is documented. We called this shit.
Yep.
We said, Phil Harrison, this shit's done.
I mean, here's the thing: like, he could just have the misfortune of just being involved with really horrible situations. But this is the third big failure of him.
Fourth, if you think about it.
Or fourth, if you want to consider Atari.
Atari, yeah. We got PS3.
What's his involvement, though? That's the thing.
He was like the main dude. He was like the guy running the shit.
There you go. Then it is his fault. If he's in charge of marketing and coming up with plans and then strategies, then it's all him.
It's all him, you know. But yeah, again, like Brett said, we saw the shit coming a mile away. And here's the thing about Stadia, right? Because I saw a lot of people on Twitter pretty much taking this as a sign of like, oh, cloud gaming is dead. No. Cloud gaming is okay. Stadia was the fucking problem, right?
Yeah, I feel like they went into this thing without a zero of a plan. You know, like, they do that announcement and they don't have anything of their own to sort of attract people. You have to pay doubly for your you have to not only pay
a full price for a streaming game.
Yeah.
So it's a subscription price, right, to use it, and then you have to buy the game separately.
To be fair, you don't have to subscribe to buy the game separately, but still, it's a terrible business model. Just think about the way, the two best examples are GeForce Now and Xbox Cloud Gaming. What they do is like, hey, you got games already, stream them, right? GeForce Now, it's your Steam library, and Xbox is your Xbox games. You're good to go. And you also have the option to download them if you want, right? Here's the thing about cloud gaming. I think it will eventually be the future, but for right now, it should be a supplement to what we currently have. It shouldn't be the main course. And that's what's going on with Stadia. But beyond that, the problem was their horrible business management. Again, $60 a pop for a streaming game, that's fucking ridiculous.
Exactly. It's more than what you would pay normally for a PC game.
Yeah.
So they were obviously thinking. So obviously they were thinking they were some sort of console and they could charge $60 for it. No, that's not what you do.
And like you said, there weren't even any Stadia exclusives.
There were stuff that was in development, but I think that, to be honest, like they went on the idea. It seems like they just went on the idea that if they announced that these games are coming, that they would do something. And then the other big sign on the wall is that literally all of their first party developers all closed up shop. What's her face from Assassin's Creed? She made up a new studio at Sony. A bunch of the other guys left. Jade Raymond. In fact, that game that came out recently, the one about the horror game by something studios, the one the guys that did Until Dawn. The one that just recently.
Oh yeah.
That game was supposed to be
Entertainment. Yeah.
That game, Massive Entertainment's. That game was supposed to be for the Stadia.
Wow. I saw this tweet.
query?
It's from this guy called Mike Rose. I don't know what game he was on, but he said, "We have a game coming to Stadia in November. Who wants to guess that Google will refuse to pay us the money they owe us for it?" Yeah, probably.
Oh damn! Shots fired on that one.
Ain't that
I don't know because they're being nice with the customers by giving them full refunds. So I would think they'd try to do the same for developers that invested time and money in the project.
Who knows, man?
I don't know. I mean, like, you know, again, like they did Google Stadia help those guys at the whatever pictures to be able to redevelop that game for the rest of the consoles? Because that was supposed to be a Stadia exclusive.
I didn't know.
I don't think so.
It was on every platform, so I don't.
Yeah, it was on every platform, but I don't think it was the original.
Yeah, I always thought it was though. I don't remember it ever being mentioned as an exclusive.
In fact, it was supposed to be a total exclusive to the Stadia, and then it sort of went silent, and then it came back again, and then now it's on everything else. In fact, that game is not even under the Twisted Pictures or whatever
it's not.
Whatever the Man of Medan and all those.
No, but that's the anthology series. That was never part of it.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that
all the other ones
if it was part of that thing, it would have been part of it. I think again, it was supposed to be just an exclusive. And if you think about it, like even the controls sort of are, it's less.
It's not. No,
you're in less control in that game than the previous ones.
Yeah, no, it's more like from the other one because that not the dark the anthology series because that's one of the things that they said that when they first advertised it, this was going to be separate. Because I already knew about the anthologies. I've covered all the other ones, and they already said which the next one was going to be. And then the query was supposed to be more like the one that they did that was the PlayStation exclusive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was supposed to be for Stadia.
So
but anyway, I don't know if Stadia went through the trouble of essentially helping them to find a new publisher.
I doubt that. You know,
I don't think they did that. And to be honest, I feel like once Google gets out of it, they're just going to leave a lot of developers on hanging. You know, I don't think everybody's going to get the sweet deal that Jade Raymond got. You know what I mean?
So I'm looking at. Yeah, go ahead.
I would feel like that probably Phil still has connections with Sony and just been like, hey, listen, we want to get this get her on something here. You know, she's doing good work, whatever, and then just push her over on that one. But who knows?
Yeah. I'm looking over at Google's statement today. I'm not going to read all of it, but it says, while Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expect, so we made the decision to shut it down. That's the thing about Stadia. It works as advertised. The streaming part was fine. There were no problems with that. I played it. I reviewed it. Everything was fine. It was the business model, so fucked it up.
Yeah, I feel like
the actual foundation of it.
I feel like a lot of it is just like it's like a Vita situation.
Yeah,
where all the stuff,
great hardware, right? But like
all the stuff was in place. Yeah, all the stuff was in place, but pricing of expansions of memory was the problem. They didn't continue to support it, stuff like that. And I feel like Stadia didn't even get to the point where any of their games, that we know of, ever got to release. I don't think any of them really released except for the Quarry, and that wasn't even on Stadia at that point.
Yeah. One thing that's kind of cool though, the only good thing about all this, Adam and I were talking about, is that they're going to be refunding everybody's money. I'll read this. We will be refunding all Stadia hardware purchases made through the Google Store and all game and add-on content purchases made through the Stadia Store. Players will continue to have access to their games library to play through January 18th, 2023, so they can complete final play sessions. We expect to have the majority of refunds completed by mid-January 2023. We'll have details soon. So there you go. At least
they're giving your money back, because especially with a lot of those guys who went all in and did the whole deal.
Price, where you at?
Wow.
John Price going to get like $1 million back or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, who knows?
Evangelist.
And then this is for all the games that they bought too, right?
Yeah. I don't know. They said hardware. They said hardware here. This thing says
I
hardware.
thought it said for all purchases.
It says hardware. It says we will be refunding all Stadia hardware purchases made through the Google Store. Hardware. Okay. So I'm guessing that's
so it's all hardware.
Well, what is it? The Chromecast? Does that even count?
No, because you can still use it for other things.
So it's just a controller then, right?
Yeah, it's just a controller.
That's it.
So I mean, wait. So they're only giving it back for that? No. What about the service part of it? Are they giving any money for that?
No, it just says hardware here.
Oh, then that's a fucking bullshit. Then fuck them.
Tell me how you really feel.
Nah, man. Like literally, people you have to pay to be on Stadia, right? In order to use their service initially, right? So the subscription part of it, you have to pay that, right?
That you do, but yeah.
Well, yeah. So if you have paid for X amount of months of this thing, they should fucking give you that money back.
Well, they're not. It's just
Well, maybe
hardware.
it was only up to the year because they set that deadline. So maybe that's when all of it ends.
I don't
like
know.
There is
It's
no
not-
other extension. It's not like, oh yeah, I paid for 4 years.
Giving your money back for the fucking hardware, like with the fucking controller, that doesn't make a lick of fucking sense. What is that thing? $60?
Something like that.
Whatever.
If we're being honest here, I mean, what did the consumers that were buying them expect? Because this thing was going down the drain since almost day one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. As soon as it dropped, it was already on a downward spiral.
And it's like how you guys are. Huh?
No, I don't know how to say this diplomatically.
Oh,
I'm gonna try, but I'm probably gonna fail. If you bought into Stadia full on, you're a fucking idiot. Oh, I guess that wasn't diplomatic, but you know what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
That was probably the most diplomatic you ever be, which is not at all.
Yeah. Seriously, you got to be dumb as fuck. We've been saying this since day one. This thing is done. You know.
well, that's what happens when you promote your service as just a service. It's a service that's supposed to be a vehicle for video games, but video games were definitely not at the forefront of this system. At least original video games that could only be played on Stadia and were Stadia exclusive games. It was just a platform for people to play games that most people already own.
That already own, yeah. You like Assassin's Creed? Buy it again on Stadia for $60.
You like Cyberpunk? You like Cyberpunk? Oh yeah, you can play that on your Stadia.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, come on, guys. Like literally, there's
1080p, wasn't it, or some shit? You know?
Yeah.
4K. That's what they were hyping. But
Was that what it was?
saying-
4K. All right.
Yeah, they couldn't even achieve the 4K. So like it's like all this stuff that's in the way. Really, again, like why go on there and play an inferior version of a game? You know. Just because it's available on there, you could play it on so many other.
Man, you can play it anywhere on any device.
I mean, to be honest, like the Steam Deck, you can play it on anywhere, right?
You could also do that with other services,
other devices, like
and that's the thing I was trying to
if-
tell people because they were saying, "Oh, Stadia's great because I'm able to play wherever I want." I'm like, you could do that with GeForce Now, you could do that with Xbox. Why is this special?
Yeah,
and they couldn't really
you say
produce an answer.
you say anywhere, but officially you cannot play anywhere because if you don't have an internet access
anywhere.
Oh well,
yeah, with an internet access. But my point is, you can't say that's a feature of Stadia when other things have it.
Yeah, it's not.
Fuck outta here with that.
Ultimately, there was nothing special about Stadia other than the fact that they had this amazing, essentially their games work as intended. They work, as they should. Because of their predictive AI that they use.
Again, there's nothing wrong with the technology, and Google says they're still gonna, use it in other avenues and stuff, which is great. But again, man, we've been calling this shit.
I could see that, like, the smartest way to do this would be to team up with another company and essentially use that whatever that Stadia software for another thing. So, like, let's say they teamed up. Let's say, for the sake of conversation, they teamed up with fucking Sony or something like that, right? Though Sony's already teamed up with Microsoft when it comes to some cloud
Azure.
stuff.
Yeah,
Azure.
No, it's not a coincidence. This guy, he must have the worst luck, Phil Harris.
I don't know if it's. I mean, I definitely still think it's a coincidence, but I think at the same time, maybe it's also something about the way he does business or way he does things. Because how is it that you can literally you be a part of 3 things that were considered a failure, and it took other people to fix what he had fucked up in order to, or part of what fucked up to, like PlayStation 3. He was the poster child for that. Then he left.
Where's my trophy room, you motherfucker?
Yeah,
remember that shit?
He was all about that PlayStation Home trophy room and all that other stuff. He was the poster child. In fact, as soon as he left, that's when PlayStation started to get their shit in order, and they started doing some really good stuff. Yeah. So is it him? I don't know. Then he goes out to Atari. Which was, not the original Atari, but a company that essentially had that name.
Vendetti or whatever.
Vivendi,
yeah. Wasn't that
no, it wasn't a Vivendi. It was somebody else. Because the Atari name is essentially jumbled around a bunch of different times.
Happened. Here's the thing, because we got to talk about Xbox One. He was around there, but he was not the front-facing guy for that.
He was part of the
Don
team.
Matrick,
He was part of the team. He wasn't like the main guy. But again, how is it that he is about again, it just seems like a crazy coincidence that he just so happened to be in the room when the ship started to fall apart. So what happened?
I wouldn't be surprised if this dude's like immortal, right? And he was just at like the worst parts of history. Like he was on the Titanic. He was, at 9/11 and shit. Like is he is he like a gremlin? Like
gremlins on the planes and stuff like that. Like essentially them being there just causes everything to start sabotaging and falling apart.
He's gonna upset William Shatner,
Something on the wing.
Phil Harrison, man. But yeah, this thing was dead on the water. But I don't know. Yeah, here's the thing. A part of me wants to feel bad for the Stadia fans, but I can't because they were the fucking worst fans out there. Not John Christ, he's cool, but like these people were like every time I wrote anything about Stadia, they were just on my ass. And every other writer I know who's written about Stadia, and not even negatively, just stating the facts about Stadia. These fans were rabid, boy.
It's weird. It's weird how delusional people become when it comes to looking at the reality of the situation. I don't know, man. Like, me and Adam were we're all in on the 3DO, but at no point will we ever fucking tell you that shit was it was the greatest thing on the planet.
I thought when I saw some of those, fanboys. I thought they were more fanboy toward the Google, Android, that whole.
No, they were Stadia guys.
That environment. They were like, oh no, this is what we support. We're on the bandwagon because we support the whole company. Alphabet.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember one time, I wrote a best cloud gaming services article, and Stadia fans came at me. Oh, you forgot Stadia. I'm like, I said this is the best ones. Oh, they didn't like that response. I didn't have Stadia on there because Stadia's fucking shit. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It has definitely had a lot of potential, but I think again, just the way they the way they put it together just wasn't working, and it looks like they didn't look at what the rest of the industry is doing or trying to find the best way to present this to where the value seems like it's going to the customer.
Yeah.
The only one thing I can say about the Stadia thing is that it was all connected. It was part of the Google ecosystem.
Yeah.
So if you had one of their boxes, one of their Sling boxes or whatever the hell you call it, you had yourself a Stadia, and that there is no barrier for entry as long as you had that controller. You're good to go.
You're good to go. Yeah. Again, and I want to bring up something because again, this is sentiment a lot of people are saying on Twitter. Kishak said this right now. The internet infrastructure isn't there for Stadia. Again, the problem wasn't that, even though that is an issue. The problem was Stadia's business practices or their business model. Again, GeForce Now is getting better all the time. Xbox Cloud Gaming is getting better all the time because of what they offer you. It's not about the infrastructure. Granted, that can be better. It should be better, but that's not the issue here. The issue is Stadia as a service. That's the problem.
And I think, to be honest, Stadia wasn't the first one out of the box to try to attempt something like this.
Yeah.
The company that eventually became part of Sony's remote play situation. That company, what was it? OnLive, right? It was OnLive that was on.
OnLive.
Yeah, they were at it way years before those guys. In fact, they had the claim that they could literally run a game inside your browser, and you could do that. You can literally run a full-on game in your web browser.
Yeah, again, the problem is not the technology. That's not the issue. Stadia, as technology-wise, is solid. Again, I reviewed it. It was like playing a game locally. It was fine. It's the fact that you got to buy single games for $60 that you're streaming. Fucking ridiculous. Hold on, I got to read what Piggy Dan just posted. This is fucking crazy, right? So Phil Harrison was asked this in 2019, right? The question was, is this just another ambitious Google project that will disappear in a few years like Google Plus? That's what he was asked. This is what Phil Harrison said. I understand the concern, but I think that all you have to do is look at the level of investment that we have made and continue to make in Stadia. This is not a trivial project by any means. This is a very, very significant cross-company effort that isn't just my team, but it's also across YouTube. It's across our technical infrastructure and the working team. It represents thousands of people who are working on this business.
Yeah, and they put in a few years. It didn't work. That's all.
Wow.
I mean, how long? Let me ask you, like, how long do you expect to do something like that? And I don't mean that as a loaded question. I mean, genuinely, like, they're trying to launch something brand new and unprecedented in the gaming sphere. And after a few years, they're like, didn't work, cool. Like, they should probably, at least in my opinion, like, you should expect that. Like, Microsoft has kind of done it right in the sense that they're just throwing money into a fire and they're like, one day this will catch. That's almost what you got to do to launch something like this, don't you think? You can't just be like, well, if it doesn't pan out in the next 3 years, then we're going to scrap it.
I think the problem is since it's Google and have so much money, they could just afford to do that shit. You know, that's what they've done with many other projects before.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going to almost have to do that. Like, I don't know of anybody who's launched new technology that hasn't really kind of taken a loss in the first few years.
Yeah.
No, but the thing with Stadia is that they didn't have their studios in check. You know, they had the Jade Raymond studio, they had the other studios, and it's like if Microsoft started today and they didn't have any games to show off, then who's going to buy an Xbox? You know, same with PlayStation or Nintendo. It's the same thing with Stadia. That proprietary technology is not enticing enough for gamers to want to make a switch on what Tony mentioned, kind of weird business plans, you know, with double dipping in pricing and stuff. So yeah, people aren't going to make that jump. They already have their Xboxes and their Switches and their PS4s and 5s. It doesn't really entice people to. It didn't entice us.
You don't entice people on potential. You entice people on having something to show, and what they were showing was not anything worth talking about. Because again, we've seen it all. Yes, Doom. It runs on everything and it runs on the fucking Stadia. Who gives a shit? There's nothing amazing about that. The only thing, again, what you do is you have your showcases, you have your thing. These are the things that you can only play on Stadia, and they take advantage of whatever and they look really good. There you go. Then you show the some of the other the third party things that are available and everything. But officially, you want to attract people with unique new experiences, not just the same old shit that you can play everywhere else and a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have both. You need robust third party support, and you need exclusive must-have titles or some sort of exclusive must-have tech. I mean, the Steam Deck is a good example. The reason the Steam Deck kicked off is everyone's like, oh, I already have a Steam library. I don't need to wait for there to be a library of games that I can play on this. For the most part, I'm good to go as soon as I open the damn thing up. I think if they would have allowed you to link back into your PC library and kind of maybe even stream from your own PC, if they didn't lock everything down, that would have been fine. But I think you guys hit on it already. The big pricing thing of let me go ahead and pay full price to stream a game that I may already own on another platform.
That's already been cheaped down in price.
There's and shit. Right, you're describing GeForce Now, by the way. You could do all of that right now with GeForce Now.
And even GeForce.
There was no reason for this to be different than that, though.
No, I agree. No, that's what I'm saying. It's like Google couldn't even bother.
Funded version.
Yeah, no, I vociferously agree with you. It's like Google, somebody's already doing it. Do that.
Thing is that the other part of it is just not everything even works for GeForce Now.
Yeah.
You know?
Think about it like this, though, and this is something I brought up with the team today. Google's GeForce Now was gutted when it came out, right? Gutted, it was still better than
everybody
Stadia.
wanted their money. Yeah, everybody.
But it was still better than Stadia, even when in its gutted version. You know, because you can still play a ton of games that you already bought. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Steam still worked on that. Epic worked on that.
Yep.
Like I get trying to corner the market and the storefront. I get that that's where the money is, but I feel like before you do that, you need to have that killer experience that you can't get anywhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you can't just be like, we just want to own the storefront. Like, here's an idea: make hardware so badass that everybody wants to get it, and then give people the option, but make your option more convenient. You can't just like be like, we're making a locked, closed down platform in which only we can exploit people as much as we want. Why are people not buying into this? I don't know, because it's a terrible fucking idea for everybody but you.
Yeah, right. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's also about essentially, giving a customer more value for what they're okay. Yes, you're selling them old games. Okay, old games, those are all lower priced. Just trying to get people in the door.
And they weren't lower priced. That was the sad part. They weren't full retail.
I wanted to actually talk about this, and I think this is probably a pretty good time to bring this up. Like, I feel like I'm seeing the same growing pains I saw back in the day from subscription-based games like World of Warcraft, right? Like, maybe you guys, some of you don't, but back in the day when MMOs were like a huge fucking thing, right? Everybody was always trying to dethrone Warcraft. But the thing that the industry eventually kind of figured out was, hey, gamers really only have room on their plate for one, maybe two service type games, and then they spatter, their AAA releases in there. But like, you only have one hobby game. You only have one World of Warcraft you're playing. If you're not playing World of Warcraft and fucking 3 more MMOs besides, that's not how you do that shit. You generally have your MMO and you're playing your video games on the side, right? So everybody is looking at the pile of money there and they're being like, well, look how successful everything is. But they're kind of forgetting the fact, like, you're only going to subscribe to so many services. I mean, streaming is having the same thing with video as it is here, but everybody here looks at it as like, well, look how much money Steam's making. Look how much money every storefront is fucking making. Let's get in on that. And they don't realize if everybody gets in on that, it breaks the whole goddamn thing. Because nobody wants 5 storefronts. We don't want that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Get your shit together. Make everything work together. Here's an idea. The first person that makes everything work together, but work better for theirs than everybody else's, and not just by gimping everybody else's, but, creating the best service, they're the one that's going to win. It's as simple as that. This idea of trying to portion people out, throw up fences, and force them to pay for games as a service ain't going to work out, man.
Well, remember, that's the whole thing we were bitching about before when all these launchers started coming out. It's like, all right, we have everything on Steam. Well, then now Rockstar wants a launcher. EA got their own. So then they say, oh, we got our own service too. Then Ubisoft wants to. It's just too many. It's too many.
Right? It's just like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
You'll never learn. All right. Anybody have any more thoughts on the Stadias before we move on?
No, man. R.I.P.
No, man.
R.I.P.
I wouldn't pour one out because you don't. You should.
Collector's item.
You know what? Don't rest in peace. Good riddance. How about that?
Yeah.
Good riddance of bad rubbish.
Exactly. All right, man. Moving on. All right, still sticking with the streaming thing. Again, I feel like they keep talking about this, but it just hasn't happened yet. So once again, Netflix is talking about how they're going to be streaming games.
No,
But they've been doing it. I don't understand.
That's
You
what I'm
make it
saying.
seem
They've been doing this shit.
They've been doing streaming games for the longest time. They had some really good ones.
But again, now we have an
keep
announcement
announcing
that
it,
came
hoping
out.
somebody will take him seriously one of these times.
They need one of them to become a hit outside of it. That's
it
why.
seems like this is like their own studio, like their own game. I'll read the fucking statement here. Today, the guy's name is Amir Rahimi. He's the VP of Game Studios. Today, I'm excited to announce that we are establishing an internal game studio in Helsinki, Finland, with can't pronounce the dude's name. This is another step in our vision to build a world-class game studio that will bring a variety of delightful and deeply engaging original games with no ads and no app purchases to our hundreds of millions of members around the world. Okay.
Yes, the thriving Finland game industry.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's an answer for that, bro. There's an answer for that. Why Helsinki? It is home to some of the best game talent in the world. This will be a game studio that we built from scratch, and our second game studio in Helsinki, alongside Next Games, which became part of our Netflix earlier this year, alongside with Night School Studio and Boss Fight Entertainment. These 4 studios, each with different strengths, will focus on areas and develop games that will suit the diverse tastes of our members.
Okay, I'm gonna just ask the asshole question: Is Helsinki a hub of game development and innovation that I wasn't aware of?
There is a lot of game developers.
Yeah, a lot of Europe and Eastern Europe. There's a lot of
Sweden. There's a bunch of them.
Sweden has a shitload.
No, I just didn't know. I didn't know if like Helsinki was like a tech hub that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, all I know about Finland is Children of Bodom is from there. That's all I know about Finland.
All right, Alexi.
I'm guessing that they there's something else at work here too. Like I'm pretty sure that maybe some tax stuff or.
Well, no, you could
good returns, good investment.
You could look into it, but at least I know for Canada, there is a subsidy that the government gives to studios that decide to open within their country. So
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
When it comes to where it comes from animation or any sort of like things they want to be made there, they could have something like that where like you can build a whole game studio over there and not have to pay a lot to do it.
They might be getting tax credits.
I'm gonna say this: Boss Fight Studios is not known for making like big games. They're known for making like tablet games, very low yield sort of games. So in other words, they're just going to be making little nothing games that you can play essentially on your phone. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, that's yeah. Because I think they're just catering this to the Netflix cloud. There's probably clicky games and shit.
Again, like this is a putting games on a movie platform or a platform like this is also a tale as old as time. Will anybody play it? I don't think so.
I think a lot of people will, because a lot of people play the games that they already put on Netflix. They have some really good games on there.
On Netflix?
On Netflix, yeah.
Well, I mean, other than Bandersnatch and that one,
they do the FMV style of games.
Yeah.
So they go down that road. It's like, as you're running through, you can either go upstairs or downstairs. They did one with WWE. They had Undertaker.
Yeah, they got the Undertaker one, yeah.
Yeah, think of Black Mirror. Remember the Black Mirror one? That episode that came out?
Yeah.
That was
also,
it.
Also, the Minecraft game is also built that way, too. The Minecraft Adventures.
My kids would sit down and just spend like a few hours. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we're just playing these games because almost like a show. One ends, another one is starting, another one. And then you just press up, down, left, right. That's it. Like, doop, doop, doop.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's going to be like games, like in the normal sense of games that you would normally play. Maybe a couple of those like phone type of games, and then maybe more of those other ones that are like, it's a full motion video type of game that they sort of developed. I mean,
like fucking Sewer Shark or something.
Yeah, pretty much. That's but unlike Sewer Shark, Bandersnatch had a bunch of different outcomes that you could get in.
Every time I hear the name Bandersnatch, it makes me think of like German pussy or something.
Bandersnatch is a monster. Like I think it's like a German monster or something like that. So you just think about the part that says snatch. That's what you're
exactly.
hearing.
And Bander, that's German. So German pussy. But yeah. I don't know. I know Rico was talking about that shit.
Brett.
Like, Bandersnatch,
Brett.
Hello?
Yeah, I was on mute. What's up?
Damn,
it's Carlos.
Carlos, what the fuck's going on,
man? You all right?
No. Well,
Carlos.
When Brett was saying like what, because I was kind of surprised, like why he was stuck on it. Why Helsinki? I thought you were gonna say a joke. He's like, why not Heavensinki or something like that? I was like, I wasn't understanding like why, but yeah,
it does seem random. I think that's what.
No, okay. Here's what I was basically trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out if Helsinki was a place where games were normally developed, or if this is just kind of a place where Netflix already has investment and possible tax credits. Like, Yeah, just trying to decipher how much of this is PR spin, because to me, it's most likely that they're getting tax credits. They already have infrastructure set up, and they're bringing on more people in their hub of development. That's probably not a hub of development for anybody but them, which is why they're getting such a good deal on it. And they're kind of building their own infrastructure out of there. But I could be completely wrong, and people could be like, "Oh yeah, like all the best games in Europe are developed in Helsinki." I don't fucking know.
Well,
Probably
I mean, they're
not.
They're definitely no Poland.
Oh,
Again, that's some hit and miss shit there.
Yeah, I don't know about the tax credits because you know Scandinavia is not necessarily known for being light on taxes. So so yeah, I'm not sure about that. Maybe it's just the talent. Sometimes different.
Yeah,
sometimes
but
there's random
the government
countries
pitched in for
that
CD
do
Projekt
stuff.
Red.
What happened?
The government straight up pitched in for CD Projekt Red.
Same thing. Yeah, when they did The Witcher, yeah, they actually were, giving them credits and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, to try to push that. So yeah.
Who knows?
All right, man. Netflix is fucking bullshit. Stupid. Who the fuck is seriously? I know I understand. Some people play these games, but like for me, I'm like, if I'm gonna watch Netflix, I'm not gonna play any fucking games.
no,
Yeah,
I
I think Adam is totally right. I think they're just trying to catch, mom and dad and people who just have a passing interest in this sort of stuff. But I think the problem with this is, and this is the problem that those games have always had. Whenever anybody says there's games on Netflix, what do people say? Oh, really? That's the problem, because they don't put these things into prominent positions on their fucking site. You got to look for it, just like you got to look for any of their movies.
Oh, I've seen it before. I think
They have a game
most people
section.
just kind of dismiss it. They're like, oh,
And also the other thing about Netflix is that it also tailors its front page to you. So if you're not like in that sort of that space, it won't put certain things up. In fact, it actually changes the images on, like, people always say, "Oh man, why did they change the image on some of these movies?" It's because they're also tailoring it to what your watching habits are.
yep. I also want to say I think that a lot of people dismiss it because there's still games that you can do with your TV remote, which is inherently more limiting than even mobile/tablet games, right? Like, at least tablet games, you can touch the screen. Well, if you've ever played any of these games, it's just selecting your choices. I don't think they're actually going to be taken seriously until they get some sort of, even just come out with like, here's a Netflix gaming controller for $20, so we can actually start to have some sort of semblance of real games. But it's not recognized by gaming as anybody who's anywhere else in the gaming space. I think it's
to be honest, they should just drop this shit and drop.
They really
price.
should.
They should drop it and drop the price of fucking Netflix.
What they should do is they should bundle with Game Pass.
You explain this one.
They should go to Game Pass and like find a way to kind of make it like.
Or you think they have Microsoft have a Game Pass tab on there? So it's like, oh, you click on this, it's part of it. It's one of the things you can get.
Yeah, like you get Microsoft to basically build you a like a little kind of like the Google TV services where you like plug the little thing into the back.
Yeah.
So basically like that, like a little plug box, and it comes with a little Microsoft/Netflix like Sega controller or whatever. It'll just allow you to basically play some sort of games. Netflix should.
So are you asking for Stadia right now, or what?
No. I'm saying like, instead of doing your own gaming thing, you should just partner with somebody who's already trying to do gaming as a service.
Oh,
well, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. Are you talking about Stadia? Because that's exactly.
Yeah,
what
I mean,
doing.
theoretically, if they could team up with Stadia to get that thing to work, but at the same time, it's like, there's so many other things that do this thing better. Again, I think they're just trying to get to Twitch the old people that are just general interest in this stuff. Nothing that deep, and then we just have what was it? nothing that deep, and then maybe kids, and that's about it. But I don't know how much. I don't know why even do the investment, but they're always trying to attract people on there, so who knows?
It's fucking ridiculous. All right,
I can't see a world where this ever works.
It makes no fucking sense. Like, why? That doesn't even sound appealing.
Well,
Netflix
and
gaming, really.
It'll work. It'll work.
Okay.
If they stick with that model, it'll work because those people like to play, and it's a casual thing to just play. It's on your device already. If you just have a controller and you're just flipping through, it's like, oh wow, you like some of those. I mean, you like Night Trap and Double Switch.
Those games are terrible. What are you talking about?
Whoa! We'll edit that out.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
If I'm gonna play a video game, I'm gonna play it on a PC or a console. I'm not playing it on my fucking TV. That's stupid. Over a phone. Come on. No,
but you're the minority.
No, I understand that, but it's like, come on now. I want some refund.
Yeah, but if you're talking about business models, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh no, as far as it makes sense. I'm just saying, for me, it's not appealing at all. I'm like, I want to play with a controller, on a console or a PC, not on my remote control. That's fucking retarded.
As far as video games, like gamers, and the hardcore, they're not trying to attract that audience. They're trying to attract the sort of, again, a bunch of the casual sort of players. So, but it's we'll see how it goes. But I think this is a venture that doesn't make any sort of sense for them. Every single one of these motherfuckers want to get into gaming, but none of them know how to get that shit right. Mm-hmm. Google, Amazon, and now fucking Netflix. All that shit's gonna crash and burn.
No, I'm telling you
because they don't understand their audience.
I'm telling you now how it's gonna go. In fact, I'll hazard to say this is a prediction. I'm guessing that at some point, Game Pass will offer a Netflix subscription bundled into their service. They already wanted to go TV. They already wanted to be the media hub entertainment system, and everything else Microsoft has done that failed 6 years earlier is now becoming fucking successful. They were just too early. So I see video being rolled into your gaming package, not the other way around.
And the telltale sign, if Phil Harrison shows up attached to this shit, it's definitely gonna go burn.
No. Well, no. And
Phil Harrison is now on Netflix.
He doesn't even need to be fucking involved. Like I'm saying, if those of us that have Game Pass, right?
You didn't get my joke, Brad.
I did, but I'm just gonna choose to ignore it here to make a point. Bear with me.
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah. Those of us that have Game Pass, right? If you're paying $15 a month for Netflix, right? If they came to you and said, "Hey, for an extra $10, we'll just lump it in with your Game Pass," who's not going to jump on that shit?
Who knows? That's a pretty interesting crossover there. I'm not sure.
Why? Microsoft has already tried to get TV through the console.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be a lot, but I'm not saying I just don't know because it's a pretty weird crossover. It's like Netflix and the Game Pass, to me, just feels like two different audiences. Not saying that one does not entice the other to do that crossover, but it's just, for me, it feels a little bit dejected to even predict because it's kind of, yeah.
I would say the same thing if they hadn't already tried to do it, and if all their other previous attempts at that kind of thing hadn't fizzled out and then caught.
But Microsoft never attempted what Netflix did.
No, they wanted to have
your cable pipe
through your.
Yeah,
the cable's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, but they never tried what Netflix did because Netflix is the provider. Microsoft never wanted to be a provider. They wanted to be the.
I'll say this: it doesn't necessarily have to be Netflix. It could be Hulu. It could be one of the. I just see a streaming service basically. It for the same reason that it's good for games. I think that it would be good for like Hulu. Get your shit in more houses.
Who knows? Microsoft needs to start by getting that app on all the TVs. They did it on the new Samsungs, but they need to get it on all the TVs.
The thing about that, though, you don't know that you're going to have to control so much hardware that way. And that's the only reason that I don't see it necessarily happening that way. It's like you'd have to at least make sure that it has robust enough hardware to stream, right? And even then, you don't know it's always going to be in a good environment. Whereas if somebody's streaming games, they can stream fucking movies and TV. There's no additional build out there. There's nothing there's nothing you have to fucking do other than make a deal with somebody that, it's advantageous for both parties. So that's my guess. Probably a few years off still. Probably a few years off. I'll say that much. But eventually, I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to get.
And then next weekend, it's like, we have an announcement to make.
We have an announcement to make.
Oh, what about they have MSNBC. There's that connection. So what network is that on?
On MSNBC?
Because that's Microsoft, MS.
No.
Isn't that? Wasn't that their thing?
No, it's not.
They have NBC.
You have nothing to do
No,
with
that's NBC. But what's the MS for?
It's not
Definitely not Microsoft.
You sure?
It's an NBC channel.
I know, but it's MSNBC. I remember when it first started, I thought it was some connection with Microsoft.
That's your going green connection. It's like
a long time ago.
That's definitely not have nothing to do with Microsoft. I can look it up. Hold on.
Yeah, where's it stand for? Because I remember when it launched, and I was like, oh, and they had the logo and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah. All right, man, let's move on.
What does it stand for?
I don't know.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm moving on to the next thing. Skull and Bones has been delayed for a 5th time.
That game, they should, Ubisoft
Big
really
surprise.
needs to drop it.
Just cancel it.
They don't know what that game is.
They don't.
Nobody wants it.
Again, this game was trying to be like, hey, remember that ship battle stuff in Black Flag? Don't you want a whole game of that? Yes, we would have liked that 5 years ago when you announced it, but now who gives a fuck?
Oh shit, Adam was right.
Oh, what happened?
I think it is. I think
Telemundo's doing video games. What's going on?
No, I think the MS does stand for Microsoft.
For
Excuse?
MSNBC?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
looking-
it's a partnership between Microsoft.
Told you, you guys are just throwing me down. Like, oh.
Hey,
Well, yeah.
Announcement. Apparently, a few months ago, Hulu and Xbox announced a partnership deal that gives existing Hulu subscribers 3 free months of PC Game Pass as part of the Hulu Friends with Benefits initiative.
Oh, friends with
Should already
benefits.
have.
That's not the only pass you're gonna get.
Oh, Guadalupe.
What's Hulu again? I don't know. I don't know what that is.
It's one of the things Disney owns.
One of the many things that Disney owns.
Oh God. I mean, is there anything really more to say about Skull and Bones? Like, why?
Well, why delays? Maybe
Singapore.
it's like a patching thing. Maybe I don't think they're starting from scratch again. That was the issue before.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's what's happening here. I think they just have some development shit. Maybe something's not working right, or maybe they feel it needs more polish. I don't think it's like
they have a release date though, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They said
I don't
March
think
9th, 2023. We'll see about
the
that.
other times. Remember, they were straight reboots. They were like, scrap it.
Yeah, and we talked about how this game is the only reason why it still exists is because a country is forcing it to exist. So
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I have no expectations for this game.
Is there? Wasn't there another years ago a ship battle game? It was on PC. I forgot what it was called.
Sea of Thieves.
No, it was just ship battles.
That's
because that's what this is. This is just ship battles. This is not.
It sounds like
Get off
Adam.
a pirate. It was an old game. It was like a Master Commander type of thing.
Oh, Sid Meier's Pirates?
Was that? Yeah, maybe that's it. Where you never get off. It's just on ships. It's just ship battles.
No,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
Sid Meier's
There you go. And that was a big hit. Those Sid Meier games, people love those shits.
That was
Those shits.
long. That was like Sega, though.
That's what I'm saying. It was just a long time ago, but they still make those type of games.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, this is just a portion of what was fun about Black Flag. Like, hey, do you like Black Flag? And most people are like, I don't really remember that much about it, but sure. But like, what if we gave you roughly 40% of the fun that was in Black Flag? And everyone's like, no, I really don't like. And we're gonna make it a King of the Hill type game.
Oh God. Yeah, again, this game may have been relevant if it came out when they originally wanted it to come out, but Nobody gives a
You know,
fuck
it was
anymore.
still 5 years after. Like, I don't know. That's what baffles me about this game is that even when they're like, "We're announcing this," where it's like, that was like 2 Assassin's Creed games ago. Yeah, you're like, "Hey, we made all this cool ship mechanics. We're gonna briefly use it in the Revolutionary War one with a protagonist everybody hates, and then pretend it never happened." Remember, we thought we're like, "Oh, well, apparently all Assassin's Creed games have ship mechanics."
Well, okay, 3 was the first one to kind of do that. Then Black Flag perfected it, and that's when we started hearing about Skull and Bones.
Was it that?
Yeah, Black Flag came out after 3.
Oh, it's okay. No, it's the chronological time. I was thinking how they're
Black Flag is 4.
Yeah, chronologically, yes. Black Flag did come out before 3 chronologically, but in the real world, yeah. Fucking crazy.
And then they just fucking never touched that shit again. I mean, they have a little bit of it in Valhalla, but
they did. Did it in Rogue. They did
in Rogue. Yeah, they had it there too. Yeah.
Yeah, they did it in Odyssey. They had some of it in Odyssey.
Yeah, they did a version of it. It wasn't as yeah. But the point is, like, it really blew up with Black Flag. That's like, shit is dope,
They should have just made Black Flag a bunch of them, like a bunch of pirate games. But Rogue bombed.
Yeah. So. And so did Unity. Remember, they came out at the same time.
Oh, but yeah, Unity bombed for a whole other reason.
Yeah, it was technically a mess.
Yeah, it was a mess.
I think Rogue bombed because, well, remember, it was on PS3 at that point. It was like, who the fuck has a PS3 now? And also the stink of Unity on top of that. But yeah, Skull and Bones, I don't know. But again, if history's anything to go by, it'll probably come out bomb, and then like a year later, it'll be the biggest thing ever. Because Ubisoft seems to do that shit.
Well, they don't give up. They don't give up.
Just go play Sea of Thieves. There's just about nothing that Sea of Thieves isn't going to do better than this game, from what I can tell.
Yeah, right.
But at least with Sea of Thieves, you go on land and you find treasure. You use a gun. This looks like all ship battles. There is none of that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. What fun is ship battles if you can't do ship to ship like boarding?
What the shit about this?
You could do that in Black Flag, by the way.
Yeah,
that's one of the best parts. You
get a whole crew. Why can't they just build on that and make a multiplayer? Imagine if they did that, a multiplayer where you just play just like Assassin's Creed, but with pirates, and you have a whole crew of your boys on it and doing it. That'd be great. In that view, yes, you have it in Sea of Thieves, but in that perspective, person, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, because they had the Assassin's Creed multiplayer before. Those games were actually pretty decent, the multiplayer portion, but on a ship, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, stuff. What?
Everything that you want, do you think that'll be in Skull and Bones?
No.
Yeah. Yo, Carlos, real quick, do me a favor, prove to the people that your image is not static.
I can neither confirm nor deny, but I'll prove that it's not.
Just move something across, There you go. Okay. I don't know. I mean, you've done it before, though. Move the bebop or something.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, all right. Carlos is up to some shady shit right now.
Is that what it is? Now, man,
he doesn't want to show how white his hand is.
I can't compromise. People might see that I'm in Helsinki right now or something.
Oh shit,
I'll just get something on the camera and wave it.
Just throw something at the Xbox. Maybe they'll play some games.
No, it's a static image.
Oh, it is a static image. That's kind of disappointing. I thought it was like the real image just constantly being played.
No, I got annoyed at my camera just being there the whole time.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I always took it out and put it back on.
All right, so there you go, Pig Dan. We confirmed it. It is a static image.
Mine's a static also.
Exposed. Yeah.
It's static.
It's a GIF.
It's so static it moves,
Exactly. It's just a GIF.
I mean, for a while I was using a static image. You wouldn't know though.
Uh-oh. All right, man. And the last thing we're gonna talk about, again, it's happening again, people. Good Cyberpunk news.
Oh, what is hell has officially frozen over.
Yeah,
twice.
So the game has officially sold 20 million copies, which is 5 million more than it did at launch, because at launch it was like 15 million. It sold a lot, But all the things we talked about, the DLC, the anime, and the game just working as it should, helped out a lot,
or close to as it should.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, to be honest,
Close enough.
This is
Close
a
enough.
situation. So now let's say, for the sake of conversation, they delayed the game until all this shit came out. That they finished, they polished the game to a point where it's actually playable. They stopped worrying about the friggin' previous generation, and they did all that. They did all that stuff. It's almost like they relaunched the fucking game.
Yeah.
Well,
I think this game probably would have been a bigger hit because remember, like, Witcher 3 sold how many, like, at the moment? Like 60 million or something? Like, ridiculous numbers, I think this game could have done that if they had released it 2 years late after.
And again, how can you deny a really good tie-in? Like a very cool show, that actually takes place in the world of the video game. Like, literally, you can go to all the spots that the characters go to in the game. And in fact, in some cases, they actually reward you for going to those locations where you'll actually find something cool connected to one of the characters from the anime. Good stuff. I mean, there's like 1,000 videos on YouTube right now just talking about people trying to create the different builds of all the characters in the game. Because apparently all those are all pretty realistic too. What a David does, what the girl does, all that stuff, and then they find out it's actually pretty damn good. So look at that, good stuff.
One thing I want to point out is because this game has just been on an apparently unprecedented redemption arc, and I just want to throw out there, a lot of the people that were done with this game are still done with this game, right? Like,
yeah.
If you look at the optics, it seems like all of a sudden this game is coming out and it's just being lauded and it's getting its huge redemption arc. Like it is, and it is getting its moment in the sun. But there's a lot of people that haven't forgotten the burn that this game initially had. They're just done. They've moved on, and so a lot of people still talking about Cyberpunk are talking about it favorably, which kind of leads to this kind of untrue, skewed version of reality where just everybody fucking loves it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm super happy that the game is in a mostly playable state. I just don't know if CD Projekt Red has really gotten all of the good graces that it seems like they've gotten. I'm actually wanting to ask you guys what your thoughts on that were.
I mean, that's an interesting take, though. I'm not sure. But I think people are genuinely happy that the game is how it is now,
I mean, do you think that they've salvaged their reputation?
No. Not entirely. You can't come back from that, And I still think the game would have sold a lot more had the game actually come out as it is now. I don't think it's like artificial, go ahead.
And that and them not trying to control the narrative like they were previously.
Yeah, that was bad. So I don't think there's any anything nefarious or whatever going on.
Redemption comes from constantly just sitting down, doing the work, and putting out some good shit. Not all this "I'm sorry" bullshit, all that stuff. Because at that point, you can say sorry so many times. So just get down there. That's the same shit that fucking what's his face did. With No Man's Sky. He at some point he got off the fucking TV and he got down and he actually started making continue to work on that game. And the only reason why that game is in the state it is because he shut the fuck up and did his job.
That's it. You got to do the work.
Okay, so follow up. Has Cyberpunk / CD Projekt Red been redeemed? And if not, what can they do, if anything, to redeem Cyberpunk?
No, Cyberpunk 2 or Cyberpunk 2078 or something. That's how you do it.
Brett, could you define redeem?
As you see it.
As I see it, getting back to the level of respect they were before the Cyberpunk debacle.
That's not going to happen. That's impossible.
Came out. Well, that's an answer. That's a legitimate answer. You could say before this came out, a lot of people had a lot of trust in CD Projekt Red. Mm-hmm. Can they rebuild that trust?
Absolutely not. No. People are gonna be even if they release 2 or 3 good games in a row, people are still gonna fucking remember. Because before this, they just had nothing but good graces, you know?
But then
I
I
feel
think
like
that
if-
goes down
oh,
to the person because, again, if you're willing to accept that, okay, they have made mistakes and they're trying to redeem themselves, then I think there is room for the redemption arc. But yet, if you're like Tony and you're like, okay, you can't be redeemed no matter what you do, then there's nothing that can be done.
Yeah. I think Brett's
definition-
talking about like in general, you know? And I think
Yeah,
in
they
general,
can.
no.
Like, well, I see. That's the thing. What if they? If you're saying that they can't be redeemed, then there's nothing that they can do to get redemption, right?
No, here's the thing. Maybe I need to explain it better. They can not redeem. They can make up for what happened. They can atone for what happened, right? But they can never erase what happened. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, you can't erase it, but again, the idea is redemption. Like, can they come back to where they were before? Like, is that a possibility in your book that they can do that? Like, do you give them room?
By what measure?
Do you give them room to come back to where they were before or not?
I don't think they can. I don't think that's
Dude,
possible.
Tony,
Oh,
remember
that's the thing.
Witcher
Like,
3?
They did
before the
Witcher,
DLC?
yeah, there you go.
Mess.
Witcher was a mess for a long time.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't think they can because again, this is part of the past now. You can't erase
the
that.
age
You know?
the age of innocence is over with CD Projekt Red.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's this is part of their history now. Obviously they can make great games and continue and make 20 million, 30 million selling games. They obviously do that in the future if they make.
They can come back and make Witcher 3 sales. They can absolutely do that. But no one's going to forget what the fuck they happened. No one's going to forget
the perception.
That. Yeah.
The perception of CD Projekt Red is never going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
They're never going to be the darlings again like they used to be. Never. That's impossible. Like Carlos said, the honeymoon's over. You know.
But the thing about redemption is it's not that it's a reset. Redemption is never a reset. It's just really to come back from what had previously happened. So,
but
that thing will always be there. That shameful moment will always be there. But I do think that the good can outweigh whatever the negativity of is if they continue to put out good things. Now, if they're still on a shaky board. If they have they have this fancy new DLC that's coming up. Maybe and I think they have a date, and they got Keanu Reeves to do some more stuff for it. Now, if that thing comes out and that literally breaks the whole fucking game again, all that goodwill will all go out the window that they just earned with this just making a DLC in an anime.
Yeah, I because sometimes I feel like online there's two different sides to this discussion, and I feel like one of them is the fiscal one, where people saying how can they ever come back from that? I'm like, they never needed to come back from anything because Cyberpunk
they did amazingly well.
Yeah, they did fucking crazy ass numbers with that game.
But
even
why did they
during
do
the
that, Carlos?
controversy?
Because of the goodwill of The Witcher 3. They're not going to have anything like that again. You know?
The only goodwill is the actual game itself, not because CD Projekt Red made it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. As they always say, you're only as good as the last thing you did, right? So it's going to be very, very tough. But they can get there financially, but no one's ever going to forget that. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and even with me, I pre-ordered Cyberpunk on PC and on PS4, and I'm not going to pre-order any CD Projekt Red in the future. Game in the future, so I'm gonna have to wait and see until that thing is on people's consoles and people's PCs to see what they say, and not the reviewers that were manipulated in a way where they were reviewing the game in the most optimal way possible.
A lot of them did point out the fact that they asked for the console one and they were given the PC. Shit, I always remember
every single one of them played on
Rad Brad is he's a console guy, and I remember he was on my feed and he popped up playing this and he says, "No, I'm not playing the console. They actually sent me a PC to play this game."
Damn,
that was a red flag right there. And he even says, "Like, yeah, that's kind of suspicious. I've never had someone do that, but whatever."
Question for you, Carlos: are you willing to trust the words of people sat in yellow chairs?
Oh shit.
It depends on which ones.
Any
It
of them.
depends on.
So that
I
includes
I put them all in the same class, as far as I'm concerned.
includes folks like Young who got one, who made
Yeah.
I said
reviews.
all of
Yeah,
them.
was
Like that.
he was like doubling down for a while, man.
Yeah.
And Brian, yeah, that was a red flag. That should have been a red flag from the beginning because that game, I was kind of skeptical on the hype of it. Obviously, I was the Cyberpunk world. CD Projekt Red is making it. The people who made The Witcher. It's like this seemed like a done deal for me even before the people with the red chairs were coming up with it. Oh, the yellow chairs were coming up with their hypes and their opinions and stuff. So yeah, I wasn't really, they didn't sell me on the game. It was, it was more of, the thought of the game and who was making it that sold me.
Yeah, because of the good grace of The Witcher 3, But yeah, it is what it is.
Actually, I'm on the other side to this than Tony is. Like, I think that they can be redeemed if they put out a couple of good quality titles on the level of what they were meant to be before Cyberpunk. So if they, again, live up to their own hype, then again, they can be thought of as, okay, these guys, they made that one bad game, but everything so far has been quite decent.
Yeah,
Because again, we can say the same thing about Platinum Games. Like, for the most part, like, they make banging games, but they've had a few games that have just been kind of trash. But everyone still thinks of them as like, oh yeah, they're still Platinum Games. Like, it's still the guys that make those hype games.
See, Brian, I'm no longer that guy. When Platinum Games first came out, right, they had Bayonetta and Vanquish. I'm like, this studio's fucking dope. Then they released, Revengeance, and I never trusted them ever again. Like, and they have released good games after that, but I'm like, no, I still remember that fucking game. I still remember that shit.
They had a few in a row.
Maybe,
they had
They had quite a few in a row.
They had a few in a row. Like,
they
it was
did have
Legend
a
of
bit,
Korra
but I still
and
remember
the
Vengeance. So
TMNT
like,
game.
okay, you still fucked up. You still had that game. I'm maybe it's because I'm not a Christian. I don't forgive. You know what I'm saying? That's not part of my thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, great, you had all these games, but I still remember that.
But here's the thing, Tony. Like, and I mean this in the nicest
Nier
way
Automata.
possible.
That was a good one.
It was good, but Revengeance is still a thing. It wasn't erased from history.
I think
Witcher 3 came out broken.
Yeah,
and like it was fixed, and everybody seems to have forgotten that. They're just like, "Oh, Witcher 3 is a great game." Like, yeah, it ended up being a great game, but they had to build up to that, and a lot of people seem to forget that. And that's why I'm kind of torn. I'm like, I don't know. I kind of want to think that this will follow them, but it didn't really seem to bother them much on Witcher. This is a bigger scale, granted, but I don't know. Excuse me. I think where I'm kind of a little bit torn is they're not going to be doing multiple DLCs the way they did for Witcher. Like, I don't know if they're going to have the time to rinse that taste out of people's mouth before they just move on. And then they come out. Like, if they released 2 or 3 DLCs, even if I had to pay for them, and like I got to know, like, okay, Cyberpunk is really back on track now, I'd be a lot more amicable to the idea of Cyberpunk 2. But the way I kind of look at it is like, look, you got my money for Cyberpunk 1, you throw one DLC out, and then because it didn't get the hype, the reception you want, you're going to ask me to pay another full price for the game and just kind of trust you next time? I feel like I'd be more open to the idea of more Cyberpunk if I got some DLCs that kind of did to Cyberpunk what they did to The Witcher. Really kind of brought it up, fixed it, made it a more complete experience. I don't know this idea of, as Tony says, like, you need to bring me Cyberpunk 2. I don't know. If you jump straight to Cyberpunk 2, that's almost worse in my book.
Well, it's not going to be straight. That game's not going to be out till like fucking 5 or 6 years because they still got to bring, because The Witcher 4 is going to be coming up next, I believe.
Oh, I know. But like, if they're like, hey, we trashed Cyberpunk, we're just going to take a mulligan on it. Like, I don't know if that's how I want this to roll.
But that's how it used to be. You release a game, and if it didn't do how you do release a sequel, remember Street Fighter? That game was not that great. Then you released Street Fighter 2, and it became a legend. So yeah.
But the way they fixed it with The Witcher was by releasing those DLCs that fixed it, not jumping on to Witcher 4.
Is that what happened? Because people seem to like the base game too, dude.
But then even in the base game, they still threw out like I think they had like 18 free DLCs just thrown
They
out
did
there.
a lot. The
So-
problem with Cyberpunk is I'm pretty sure, Brian, they would have went down that road if they didn't spend all the time fixing the game.
I still, again, I'm with Brett here. Like, I still think that they will just be throwing out. Well, I am hoping that they'll be throwing out like quite a few DLCs for this. And again, like, it already seems like they put the eggs in this basket and they're just trying to just make things happen as much as they can. So I would, again, like Brett, I would prefer if they continue to work on this game, add stuff to it, and show that, hey, you know what? We can still make good games at the end of the day, granted, and hence build that reputation back up again. Like we've seen time and time again with stuff like Sea of Thieves or No Man's Sky or something, where they just say, okay, you know what? Let's just actually spend time and work on it and get stuff up to like the standard and like.
Didn't they say this is going to be the only big DLC they release for it, though?
Well, again, they could do lots of small DLCs.
Yeah.
Like, who knows what?
And I hope they change their mind on that. And I think there's been some discussion about like, yeah, that's not necessarily set in stone, or at least there's been some idea that with the massive recent success, they might not stop development on Witcher 4, but like keep some assets on building out Cyberpunk. Or they could do what they said before and be like, nope, one DLC, fuck it, then we're shutting it down, we're done. Which, again, I'm not really a fan of in terms of their redemption arc.
Well, they really don't, and I'm gonna come into Cyberpunk's defense here. Cyberpunk released, it didn't release as like a game that was void of content. It just came out as a broken game.
Yeah.
If Cyberpunk came out working with the content that it had at release date, then would have been a great experience for most people that played it. It just people couldn't play it. And
but let me ask you this: if it were successful at launch, do you think they would have limited it to one DLC?
No, they probably.
Well, it was successful at launch. It sold 15 million in its first couple of weeks.
If it was positively received at launch, let's say it that way.
I don't know.
I feel like if it weren't a complete dumpster fire at launch, they would have. They clearly planned this to be a game that was going to live a long time and have multiple updates. It was going to be a world that you lived in and returned to over and over again. You can tell from how the game was made. It was just such a dumpster fire release that they went, fuck it, let's just move on to The Witcher. And now that they've kind of gotten such good graces back, I think it might be a good idea to rethink that stance.
But what I don't understand is I don't know why there's onus on Cyberpunk to release more than one DLC in the first place. It's like me being pissed off at From Software because Elden Ring doesn't have a DLC yet. Or
no. It's not. I'm not pissed off at anybody. I'm just saying like that's on them. But if they want to win back my good graces, the way to do it is through DLC, some paid, some free, as opposed to expecting me to then just take a chance on another CD Projekt Red game. Like I already have the game installed, right? Like you've already got your foot in the door. Do like you did with The Witcher. Show me some good graces. Show me your talent. Show me your ability to continue to put into that. Because that's what got a lot of people to buy this game. They're like, even at first when Witcher came out, like it needed a little bit of love and some DLC to really reach its true potential. And they kind of just assumed that was going to be the same on this one. So it's not that they're going to upset me terribly if they don't. I'm just saying that like you have more of a chance of winning my good graces back by kind of breadcrumbing me some good small stuff as opposed to
they're going to
reinvest all over again. Yeah, breadcrumb me along instead of asking me to reinvest. What's going to inevitably be a $70 game should they release it again. Ask me to pay $20 for DLC several times as long as you keep producing good content is a much easier pill to swallow than be like, hey, remember CD Projekt Red? You should trust us this time though.
That's fair enough. I think the fact that the new DLC is going to come out. I guess when is it going to come out? This year? Next year?
Next year. Sometime next year. We don't know the date.
Sometime next year. We've had the hype from the anime, and we've had the hype from all the patches and the hot fixes and everything that's making the game work now. And it's having all these concurrent users in Steam and over 1 million in a day. The more recent resurgence, there's going to be another resurgence when this DLC comes out. And when they see the sales of the DLC, then maybe that'll help persuade them to keep doing it, because at this point, like when a game just keeps churning up money and all you need is, DLCs and existing assets and build upon that, then it's a pretty easy sell for most companies, especially fucking Rockstar.
I think so. And I think the only reason they so publicly stated there was only going to be this one thing was it wasn't received well. And, they wanted their fan base to know, like, okay, we get it. We're not just going to keep beating this dead horse. We'll make Witcher 4. But now that it's doing so well, again, hope that they reconsider. I mean, fuck. If they could manage to pull it off, I'd be down to even see them bring back the idea of the multiplayer game that they had talked about. After spending that much time in Night City, I'm like, damn, I kind of wish this is what GTA was.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can contact someone to know what GTA 6 will be like.
Oh, man. Better not be like Saints Row.
No teeth.
Yeah, man. Cyberpunk has been doing good, monetarily wise. So, I've never felt bad for them. Obviously, I feel like they do genuinely feel bad of the way that the circumstances with this game was released. But I mean, it's a lesson learned for a lot of people, a lot of consumers, and not just, and for me, not to just blindly trust someone, before a lot of people are able to see at face value what the game is like when it comes out, and not trust the yellow chairs.
I think honestly we're just going to reach a point in development where you have games that are going to be continuously developed years after their release. I think the Sea of Thieves model is going to become more and more prevalent. It's for the same reason. It's just early access with a different name, and that way they can get people in, gauge interest earlier, fund most of development with it. That way, it's not optimal, but I just think it's what's going to happen.
Yeah, because that's the thing. They want to keep you coming back,
Yeah, they can. I mean, why spend all this money to release a game once? We can release most of the game and then continually update it to be its eventual version and get them to come back 3, 4, 5 times, or never even leave at all.
Well, so are you talking about Skyrim being re-released for the Nintendo Switch for $70?
No, I'm talking about how.
It was a joke, right? Did you guys see this?
What happened?
I don't know. I don't know if this was in the chat. Hopefully that someone in the chat can tell me, but I saw this in our Discord. It said like Skyrim on the Switch, $70.
What? I think that sounds like bullshit. No way. That game can't even run on Switch.
Oh, look, I have Skyrim on Switch.
Or is it like streaming or something?
Kotaku.
No, it's on Switch.
It's already been on Switch
Sky?
for years. No. It says Skyrim.
Check this out.
That's the thing that we talked about, like way back when like Nintendo was coming out, and then they shown Skyrim in the advert, and then Todd Had was like, "Yeah, there's no Skyrim on Switch," blah blah blah, and then it came out.
Oh, Skyrim! I thought I was talking about No Man's Sky.
So apparently there's a Skyrim anniversary. Yeah. There's a Skyrim anniversary edition coming out on the Switch, and it is $70.
Wow!
What's in it?
Wow!
Okay, here's what I don't get about this. Like, have any of you guys seen? And I probably not, because I didn't see.
No Man's Sky is coming to the Switch.
Oh,
Jesus Christ!
You can pre-order it. Oh shit! It is. I'm looking at it at the Nintendo store right now. Holy shit! By the way, $60.
That's why when
Skyrim anniversary, at least from the reports on Kotaku, says a $70 game.
Wow.
Let me just get this straight. You can go on Steam, buy Skyrim for pennies on the fucking dollar, download all the mods, and have I don't know if you guys have seen the Skyrim VR. Fucking crazy. Just absolutely, I was like, oh shit, apparently that VR game that we had talked about, like that, it exists. It's just Skyrim now. Fucking nailed it. So you can have just this crazy VR, updated graphics, retooled, rebalanced, insane game where you could like literally walk up and grab people by the collarbone and like throw them into the fire. And then you have the janky ass busted Switch version. And that's the more expensive of the two.
Yes.
We live in a dystopian nightmare.
No, we don't. It's called Nintendo Land. You know.
Well, let me to quote Chris Seeley, it's called Blue Ocean.
Nintendo, man. Seriously, Jesus. Anyway, I think we're done here, men. Good show. Do we have anything to plug around here?
No, not at all.
Carlos, you
Well, at least
plugging
for
something?
me.
So Skyrim Anniversary Edition is considered a DLC in Steam, and it's only $20. So if you have Skyrim, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people
That is the upgrade. Because I'm certain that because there's the upgrade, because there's fucking Todd Howard. The Skyrim, the base game, and then you can get the upgrade to the Anniversary Edition, or you can buy the Anniversary Edition separate. So they are two separate things. So you're probably looking at the upgrade, not the actual whole thing. Yeah.
Isn't the Anniversary Edition just a bunch of mods packed in with the game?
They talk about this when they talk about it for the PS4. There's like a whole bunch of upgrades, such as like lighting and stuff like that, and I think comes with all the DLC and stuff like that. I just don't care, because when they talk about it, I'm like, so they're selling you just DLC for cost now, and I just thought, screw this.
So Brian, it's $20 to upgrade it if you already have Skyrim on Steam, or $50 if you have nothing. So it's still $20 cheaper than the Switch version. Somehow. On a fucking
buying that
what
shit
is this
on Switch.
Nearly a 13-year-old game. When is
it's a waste buying anything on Switch, Tony.
Yeah, this is very true. Yeah.
Now when you got the Steam Deck.
Yeah, the real shit, you know. The Switch for adults. All right, Adam, you have anything to plug?
Nothing yet. Soon, hopefully this week or next week, we got The Walking Dead that's coming back. So if you're into Walking Dead, I am Negan. iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, of course, over at the Coalition. This is it. Last 8 episodes of the Mothership. So if you're interested,
Podcast about to get 3 million hits, man.
That's what they say.
Last 7 times, me, Rich, and Adam are gonna get to talk with each other. That after that, we'll never talk again.
That's it.
We'll never hear from Carlos again.
This is it.
So it's the farewell tour.
It's yep.
You guys will reunite when they bring the show back. You know, redo the cast and everything.
When they do the reboot and they start from
the reboot, you know,
all the way back, and then what's his I'm blanking everybody's name to.
Rick?
No. Daryl, the actor, Norman Reedus comes back as Rick.
Yeah,
recast.
Or
Rick.
we'll do the Spanish spin-off. Yo soy Negan.
Yo soy Negan.
Sí. Es very interesante.
Oh man, Rich. Es controversial. Oh man. So what would he say instead of like, oh, like, oh no?
Ay,
Dios mío.
Ridiculous. Anyway, man, follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube. Join the Discord. You already know. We are on every podcast app on the planet. Throwdown Show, 2 words. Throwdown Show. We are also on throwdownshow.com, where you can listen to the previous episodes. And if you have been watching us on YouTube and enjoyed the content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when our premieres go live. Sometimes they go live on time, sometimes they don't. It's just a surprise for all of us. Anyway, links to everything down below. Once again, that's our host, Tony Polanco, and tonight joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Adam Vale.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Brett Murdoch.
Deuces.
And Brian Manjoma.
I love the smell of Steam Deck in the morning.
Yes. All right, people, you already know, man. We'll see you on Sunday. Later.
Latest.
This is